When Funcom announced an Age of Fixes, I was actually optimistic. This was supposed to be the moment where Conan Exiles finally got the solid foundation that it's needed for years. And to be fair, some of the recent updates have moved things in the right direction, but the more that time passes, the clearer it becomes that Funcom is fixing the wrong things. Right now, it feels like they're patching pinholes in the hull while the engine room is underwater. Or, to put it another way, they're the band playing on the Titanic while it's actively sinking. This isn't just another rant video. I want to give credit where it's due, because not everything in the Age of Fixes has been bad. But more importantly, we need to talk about the massive, game-breaking issues that keep getting ignored. These issues are core systems that don't work reliably, mechanics that sound great on paper but fall apart in practice, and why focusing on small tweaks while these problems fester is a serious threat to the future of Conan Exiles. Let's start with the positives. The Age of Fixes hasn't been a total waste. Funcom has rolled out changes the community genuinely asked for, and some of them have been solid wins. The ability for players to build from their thrall's inventory is a great quality of life improvement. It makes building smoother, cuts down on busy work, and shows that someone on the dev team understands how exhausting the grind can be. That change alone probably saved a lot of players hours of frustration. There have also been real improvements to the purge system, fixes to purges spawning inside bases, which is something that should have never happened in the first place, were badly needed. Adjustments to performance were also welcome, especially for larger builds. We've also seen fixes for long-standing issues like players and NPCs sinking through foundations, exploit patches, and general stability improvements. The December 2025 update brought smoother building, better sorcery balance, and more back-end fixes. All of this shows that Funcom is doing work, and these patches aren't useless. They do make the game better, just in small, incremental ways. And that's the problem. Now, while Funcom is busy tweaking costs and polishing UI elements, the core systems that actually hold the game together are falling apart. Living Settlements was supposed to be a game changer. Bases that felt alive. Thralls with routines. Settlements that actually looked like communities. On paper, it was one of the most exciting features Conan Exiles has ever pitched. But in reality, it's been a mess. The system has been so broken that Funcom have actually had to disable and re-enable it multiple times on official servers. And for good reason. Thralls will teleport through walls, wander into danger, stack on top of each other, float in midair, or just disappear entirely. Players have lost thralls they spent dozens of hours capturing, leveling, and gearing. Some get sent to the infamous 000 map coordinates, which can be a one-way trip with no recovery. Few things kill motivation faster than logging in and realizing the game just deleted all of your progress. What makes it worse is even the hotfixes meant to address these issues often introduce new ones. Every update feels like another round of bug whack-a-mole. At this point, many players are genuinely afraid to touch the system, and some are arguing it should be scrapped entirely. This isn't a small bug, it's a flagship feature, and it actively punished players for engaging with it. Combat is one of the major pillars of Conan Exiles, and right now, it's incredibly unstable. I'm not even talking about PvP balance, that's its own nightmare. I'm looking at you cheaters. I'm talking about basic PvE functionality. How many times has your thrall just stood there while you got destroyed? How often have you spammed attack commands only to watch your follower run in circles or do absolutely nothing? Or how about when you have a boss down to 3% health and your thrall dies? That boss loses all aggro and has 50% health back before you can even blink. The pathing is terrible, thralls and enemies get stuck on tiny bits of terrain, bosses randomly will stop attacking or loop the same animation over and over again. Archers barely function at range and often need to be practically in melee before they decide to shoot. Funcom has said their recent combat changes were meant to make fights more engaging without touching AI behavior, and that's exactly the issue. You can rebalance stamina and damage all day long, but it doesn't matter if the AI itself is unreliable. Combat ends up feeling mechanically predictable but practically random because you never know whether the AI is going to cooperate or completely fall apart. For a game known for its building system, it's ridiculous that one of its oldest bugs is still around. Players and NPCs falling through foundations. You log in and fall through your own floor. You return to base and find your best thrall halfway buried in a foundation. This has been happening for years. Yes, there have been patches, but they never address the root cause. Even Funcom has admitted in patch notes that some fixes only address many cases. That pretty much sums up their entire approach. Instead of overhauling the collision system properly, we get partial fixes that work for some people some of the time. This isn't a minor annoyance, it's a sign that one of the game's core systems is fundamentally unstable. Before I move into the final breakdown, I want to hear from you. Conan Exiles is a huge game, and I know my frustrations aren't the only ones out there. What's the one bug that Funcom keeps ignoring that drives you insane? And if you were in charge of the Age of Fixes, what would your top priority be? Drop it in the comments and let's build a real list. If you think this conversation matters for the future of the game, consider liking and subscribing. So what is the core issue? A game is only as strong as its foundation. Combat, building, AI, progression, those are just the base. Everything else gets stacked on top. Funcom is polishing new features while the foundation underneath them keeps cracking. The reliability of AI, the stability of building, and the basic functionality of core systems matter more than anything else. Players might tolerate a clunky menu, but they won't tolerate losing thralls to bugs or dying because their follower decided to stare at a wall. The community has been reporting the same issues for years across forums and Reddit, so when Funcom focuses on minor quality of life tweaks instead, it feels disconnected. Letting thralls carry stone doesn't mean much when that same thrall might vanish in the next patch. The Age of Fixes was supposed to change that, and instead it feels like business as usual. Small wins, half fixes for major problems, and a steady push for Bazaar items on top of an increasingly unstable game. I'm this critical about the Age of Fixes because I care. If I didn't love Conan Exiles, I wouldn't bother with any of this. The game is something special, a mix of survival, building, and brutal fantasy that nothing else has quite matched for me. The idea behind the Age of Fixes is the right one, but the execution just isn't there. Funcom needs to stop touching up the paint and start fixing the engine. That means a real overhaul of Thrall and NPC AI, a definitive solution to building collision and stability issues, and a complete rework of living settlements until it actually works, or removing the parts that clearly don't. Until those core problems are solved, everything else is just noise. We don't need more decorations for a house that's about to collapse. We need Funcom to fix the foundation, once and for all. Thank you for watching Exiles. Until next time, keep crafting, keep surviving, and I'll see you in the exiled lands.